Before this session, your trading rules are perfectly clear. Fixed risk, one entry per qualified setup, never chase price, never move a stop loss simply because you do not want to be wrong. Then the market opens. Your first trade loses, price accelerates without you, your body tightens, your attention narrows, and the rules that made complete sense an hour ago suddenly feel negotiable. You have not forgotten them. You can probably recite every one of them while you are breaking them. So why does an intelligent trader with enough knowledge to build a valid plan become unable or unwilling to follow their plan when money is moving? That is the executive control gap. And until you understand it, you may keep treating a pressure problem as a character defect. In part 1, we identified the protective identities that emerge under pressure. In part 2, we examined how immediate relief can reinforce damaging behavior, but neither identity nor dopamine acts alone. Today, we examine the executive control gap, why your calm state rules lose influence when the market activates urgency. When you are calm, you can think in probabilities. You can accept that one stop loss belongs inside a larger sample. You can compare a setup with written criteria, calculate risk, and consider the consequence of a decision across the entire week. Under live pressure, the priority can change. Attention narrows towards what feels urgent, recovering the loss, preventing profit from disappearing, catching the move before it leaves, or avoiding the pain of being wrong. The rule has not vanished from your memory. Its influence has been overtaken by an outcome that feels more important right now. This is why telling yourself, just be disciplined, is often inadequate. Discipline is not merely possession of the correct information. It is the ability to keep the correct information influential while competing impulses is demanding action. Before we get to the executive control network, if this is the kind of trading psychology you've been looking for, practical, behavior-based, and built around execution, subscribe to Sage Psych Trade. This channel is for traders who already understand the charts but need to become more consistent in the way they execute them. There is no single discipline button in the brain. What we call executive control depends on several interacting systems. The prefrontal cortex supports functions such as maintaining a goal, holding relevant information in mind, inhibiting an automatic response, and considering future consequences. The orbitofrontal cortex contributes to evaluating the current value of possible outcomes and updating that value as circumstances change on your chart. On the contrary, after a loss, another entry can suddenly feel more valuable. Not because the setup improved, but because a win now promises something extra, emotional relief. The anterior cingulate cortex is involved in monitoring behavior, conflict, and error. In trading, conflict appears when one part of you recognizes that the entry violates the plan while another insists this opportunity is different. These structures do not work alone, and they do not manufacture discipline on command. Their contribution is affected by stress, fatigue, attention, working memory demands, and the meaning you attach to the outcome. The practical point is simple. Knowing the rule and being able to use the rule under pressure are two different capabilities. 3 conditions repeatedly widen the executive control gap. First, high arousal. A loss, sudden volatility, a missed entry, or rapidly changing open profit can produce heat, tightness, shallow breathing, restlessness, and urgency. Activation itself is not failure. The danger begins when you interpret activation as an instruction to act. Second, cognitive load. Multiple charts, time frames, indicators, chat rooms, and discretionary decisions compete for limited attention. The more choices you leave unresolved for the live market, the more opportunities the activated mind has to negotiate with a plan. Third, immediate emotional relief. This is the one traders often miss. Closing a winner early ends uncertainty, yes, Moving a stop delays the moment of being wrong, sure. Revenge trading creates a temporary feeling of taking control. Hesitation protects the perfectionist from an immediate loss. Strategy hopping gives the exhausted provider a fresh dose of hope. So, a financially destructive action can therefore feel psychologically rewarding before its financial consequence arrives. That is why the behavior repeats, not because you want to fail, but because in the activated moment, the behavior appears to solve a more immediate problem. This is also why willpower cannot be your only risk control system. Willpower is variable. It changes with sleep, stress, fatigue, hunger, conflict, financial pressure, and the number of decisions you have already made. You still have agency, but responsible agency includes recognizing the condition under which your judgment becomes easier to distort. Which rule becomes negotiable first for you? Entry or risk, stop loss or exit management? Put just one word in the comments. Professional execution cannot depend on you becoming your wisest self at the most emotionally expensive moment of the session. So instead of asking willpower to rescue you, we use calm state decisions to govern activated state behavior. Before the session, define 5 decisions in observable language. 1. Entry permission. What exact conditions allow a trade? A strong setup is not precise enough. Your criteria must be visible enough that you can answer yes or no. 2. Invalidation. What proves the trade idea is wrong? Decide where the premise fails before the need to avoid a loss becomes changing the story. 3. The risk boundary. What is the maximum amount or percentage you are authorized to lose? Risk is determined before entry, not renegotiated after emotional attachment begins. 4. Management permission. Under what predefined market conditions may the stop, target, or position size change? If your plan contains no such conditions, discomfort is not permission. 5. The termination rule. What event ends the session? It may be the end of your trading window, a daily risk boundary, or a serious execution violation. A termination rule prevents one activated decision from becoming a cascade. This is your pre-commitment architecture. You are not using the calm version of yourself to predict the market. You are using the calm version of yourself to govern the activated version that will meet the market. Make the card short enough to read in seconds. If it takes 3 pages to decide whether you may click, it will not protect you at speed. Before you watch part 4, identify the one rule that disappears most often when you become activated. Complete this sentence. When blank happens, I feel the urge to blank. My shadow identity is trying to obtain or avoid blank. My predetermined response will be blank. For example, when my first trade loses, I feel the urge to enter again immediately. The gambler is trying to erase the loss and restore control. My predetermined response is to leave the screen for 10 minutes, then require the next setup to qualify from the beginning. Write your version down. If you are comfortable, place it in the comments, please. Not the rule that sounds most impressive, the rule you repeatedly negotiate with. Pre-commitment can protect a decision, but one protected decision does not yet create a stable execution identity. In part 4, we bring the entire series together and use the SAGE execution loop to turn recognition into repeated behavioral evidence. Continue directly to part 4. I'll see you there.